Morning, world. Okay. Hope you all are doing wonderful this morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let me switch this over to public and then maybe I will see our comments today. All right. So, hope you guys are all doing good. Testing the system. All right, comments are live. So we're a couple minutes early, but today's is actually going to be kind of a let's say a kick in the gut for some of you. But really thought about this. So give you a quick recap. I gotta play catch up on my little calendar here. Today marks 2 complete weeks. Good morning, Matt. 2 complete weeks on 75 hard. This week was definitely a little bit more of a challenge for me. You should have workouts. Let me figure that out. You should have bike workouts. You're just supposed to ride your bike and run this month. But this week was a little bit more of a challenge. It was a little bit of, just a time management thing. But that's really like when I look at the 75 hard, that's what it comes down to is straight up time management. So, I got to say I was a little lax. I got everything in, but I didn't get it in the structure which I wanted. So starting my 3rd week here, my objectives haven't changed significantly. Making sure I'm out of bed at 5, reading my book by 5:05, 5:10 with 16 ounces of water, get those 10 pages done, drag the dog's ass out of bed, take her for an hour walk. I'm back by 6:30. That'll probably change next week because Beth will be back at work. So that'll mean but again, this is week 3. So, I'm going to curtail it as I have to, but then at least I know one of my workouts is out of the way and taken care of, period, done, over with. So, and that also gives me, again, if I'm drinking a gallon of water, it gives me a good edge up on, I get 16 to 32 ounces. I get my 10 pages done. I get my progress picture done. I get my book read all before 6:30 in the morning. So then all I've got to do is make sure I stay on my diet, make sure that I get my second workout in, and then, which is my real workout. And then, continue hitting my water. So that's kind of the game plan. But enough about that fun stuff. 75 hard, 14 days down of 75. So I've got questions for you guys today. Basically, I was thinking this morning, and I wanted to switch it up a little bit. There was a few ideas that I've been throwing around in my head, but I haven't been able to really put them together. So this is what I came up with. I was able to put some of it together today. All right. If I told you, or anyone told you, that we have a very strict, healthy diet, and if you follow it for 180 days, 6 months, with 0 deviation from the diet. So like if I prescribe you, I think Beth just tipped over in the kitchen with dishes. No, she probably was just cleaning up after the boys and throwing things at them. If I said, I want you to follow a really strict diet that is, and it's not really strict. Let's say that it's, no added sugar, no cheat meals, none of that. Like you're eating fruits, vegetables, lean meat, healthy sources of starches. It's what I would consider a healthy diet, not the standard American diet. That's shit. We all know that. If you don't, now you do. So predominantly 60% of your plate is non-starchy vegetables. Those are the ones that are like green and red and don't contain a whole bunch of sugars and starches in them. Broccoli, cauliflower, things like that. So you're going to have that with lean, healthy protein, with healthy fats, not just lard and stuff like that. Healthy options, avocado, healthy ghee butter, nuts, seeds, things of that nature. Follow that for 180 days, no deviation. It adds 10 years to your life. How many of you would follow that? So, and again, I'm going to say there's no right or wrong answer. It's your life. You're going to choose to do it however you want. Now, my next question is, same 180 days, same exact diet. It adds 10 years to your life, plus you get 1 week added to your vacation every year, plus $5,000. How many of you would do that? So now we're going to change it a little bit. Now we're going to drop it down so that it's only 60 days and it adds 10 years to your life. How many of you would do that option? 60 days adds 10 years plus adds a week of vacation every year. How many would choose that option? And then finally, 30 days only adds 10 years. How many of you would commit for 30 days if you knew that you'd get 10 years, but you wouldn't get any of those other perks? So the idea behind it is, what is your motivation? Is it intrinsic versus extrinsic? In other words, is it something that comes from within you, or is it something externally to help you get to that goal? In other words, like the 1 week of vacation plus the $5,000 a year. So are you driven? Is that what is going to, like, are you willing to commit to that 180 days if you know that you'll get those other things, but not if you don't get them? Like, it's like, that's your tipping point? Or is it that you're more short-sighted and say, you know what, I can do it for 60 days because the 5,000 is as nice as that is. I can commit for 60 days. I can't commit for 180 days. So, and the idea that kind of got me behind that was these guys that I listened to were talking about, and it was just like casual conversation about, when they die, how they're, like what people are going to say about them, like, and we always talk about that, like, oh, what would be on your tombstone or whatever. One of the guys was like, I just want to be known as the guy who, like, I commit to something and I see it all the way through. And of course, I just naturally thought of nutrition and fitness with that and thought, like, man, how many people start a diet, stop a diet, start a diet, stop a diet, start a fitness plan, stop a fitness plan, start a fitness plan, stop a fitness plan. And they're just like super cyclical, instead of maybe like scaling it back to like a more, I don't want to use intelligent, but a better way of being able to, like, maybe instead of going balls out and going CrossFit 6 days a week and hardcore paleo, maybe you do CrossFit 3 days a week and, you do, paleo-esque, and you don't get as, you're still making the right decision 90% of the time, so you're making it so that it's actually achievable, because you get to both ends of those spectrums. You're never going to stay on that path for life. So therefore, are you, then you're just flip-flopping back and forth. So one of the things that it started getting me thinking even more was, the old saying, so health equals wealth, right? And we always hear that in that. I was like, well, on my tombstone, I want people to just know, like, I lived to serve. I lived to try to help everybody that I came across do better in some way, shape, or form. So, and I lived a healthy life, not excessive on one side or the other. And I think I've curtailed that some. I think I've dialed down my exercise because it used to be excessive. I think that now it's in a good range. I don't go hard 100% of the time. I put the easy days in there as well. So, I started looking at it from that perspective. And then I said, well, what is the financial cost of being obese? And Forbes did a study. Of course, Forbes would have this study. And BMI over 30 is considered obese. And BMI is a ratio of your weight over your height in meters squared. So Forbes found that the average cost of someone to be obese for women is $4,879. Okay, so for men it was a little bit less than that, but $4,879 is the cost, is the toll that it takes. So and then I started looking a little bit more, and then if you figure in, because when you're obese your life expectancy drops, so you don't live as long, which is where I got this idea of the 10 years. Lost life cost, it drives that number up to $8,300. So you're basically throwing away $8,300 by remaining to be, good morning, Trisha, by remaining to be obese or overweight. And for guys, it was like $6,900 or $7,000. So they're still significant. So these losses, these financial losses, come in the form of lost wages, medical expenses, productivity, life insurance premiums go up, increased gas usage because you're not as active, so you're driving more places instead of walking, increased sick leave, disability insurance, things like that. So, and we always say that, and we could even, the medical expenses like prescription drugs, but then, you're going to have, for every medication you take, there can be some side effect. And then the doctor's always like, well, here's a medication to work on that side effect. So now you're into this whole like cyclical, like, well, this medication has this side effect, but this medication fixes that side effect to give you this side effect. So here you go. So, at the end of the day, when I look back at this 180 days, adds 10 years, plus 1 week, plus you get that 5,000, isn't that a better option for 99% of you? Because if you remain obese, then you're going to pay that 5,000 anyway. So, and again, that was pretty random. Like I looked up the Forbes stuff after I just threw 5,000 out as an arbitrary number. And then when I did the numbers, and I was like, wow, it's actually $4,879 for women. It was like $2,800 for men. And then when you add in the lost life costs, it goes up to $8,300 and $7,000 per men. So at the end of the day, what is that motivation? Is it intrinsic? Is it extrinsic? Is it a combination of both? And sit back, because a lot of times it seems like every week people are trying to get back in the cycle. And it's like, my cousin said it, I think it was last week when Steve said, fat people love cake. Skinny people love cake. Medium-sized people love cake. Everybody loves cake. It's just a matter of, are you willing, if you have the cake, are you derailing your goals, your progress to have that short-term satisfaction? Are your goals and your progress more important than a short-term satisfaction? Today is Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Happy Taco Tuesday, all at the same time, still in quarantine with Corona. However, are you going to derail your progress today to have some whatever margarita and a bunch of tacos? Or are you going to say, you know what? My goals are more important than that. I want to be successful long term, which means I have to give up some of these short-term distractions, which that's what they are, is they're distractions from your long-term goal. So sometimes you have to cut them out. So, do you have to cut all of them out all of the time? Not necessarily. But if every week you're saying, okay, I'm going to start over, this week I'm going to make sure I hit the goals that I didn't hit last week. Are you setting unrealistic goals? Are you unable to follow those plans? Are your motivations too external? They aren't coming from within. You're too worried about what social media thinks or what, your Facebook friends think, instead of saying like, okay, I want this more than I want tacos on Taco Tuesday or on Cinco de Mayo. And I want this more than losing 10 years of my life and, the burden that I'm going to become on society by costing $8,300 the strain that gets put on the healthcare system, all of that stuff. So, I'm going to end this with health equals wealth, like I said. So what does that mean? If you're healthier, you can do more stuff, both at work, at home, with your kids, with your family, with your friends. You're less of a burden on our healthcare system. You are financially more beneficial to your work environment because, again, like the healthier you are, the more cognitive you become. The healthier you are, the less of a health insurance burden you become on, you're less sick leave. So you're at work more, so your productivity increases. All these little things start to add up. And if every time you had to go to the doctor, if you had to flip the bill 100% and you didn't have insurance backing you, or you didn't have insurance to pay that, would that be a motivator for you to change your habits now rather than after you're diagnosed with something and then you're like, oh shit, I have type 2 diabetes. What do I got to do to get rid of this? Or, oh shit, I've got hypertension, high cholesterol, and I'm on the path to, getting extremely sick with any of these other, cardiovascular diseases. Now I have to do something instead of, man, my doctor's charging me $150 more every time I come see him because I'm obese. Maybe I should change that before I get sick. So again, a little bit of thinking, critical thinking on your part, but at the same time, I think that is where your growth is going to come from, is seeing the critical thinking and looking like deep within yourself and saying like, what is my motivation? Why am I following, whatever my fitness plan is, or why am I following whatever my nutrition plan is, or why am I not following it? If I have a plan in place that I know is going to take me to health and health equals wealth, why am I not following it? Why am I having dessert 5 days a week when it's not helping me to get to my goal? And I ask my clients all the time, I said, before you eat that dessert, if you had to text me, and I'd say, how's it going to help you get to your goal? And if you can't answer that question, then why are you eating it? And again, if you're just looking for a short-term solution to oh, I just had such a stressful day. How's a piece of cake going to fix that? It's not. Talking it out, exercising, going for a long walk without music to listen to nature and to clear your mind and to get some flow state, that can fix it. Cake ain't going to fix a problem. It can give you problems, but it's not going to fix any. So think about that. Today is more of like a deep thoughts kind of I don't know, episode, chat. So hope you guys have a great day. As always, that sun's still shining. So get outside, get some fresh air, take a deep breath, think about these ideas, and I will see you guys tomorrow. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Enjoy Cinco de Mayo. Be smart, be responsible, practice social distancing. You know the drill by this point. In quarantine. And yeah, we'll chat tomorrow, guys. See you.